The ShoreTel Contact Center Interaction Viewer, the CCIV. What is it and what does it do? So the Contact Center Interaction Viewer is based on the Contact Center, the CCIR database, which as of release date has to be on a separate server from your ECC. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to point to the link, which is CCI Viewer, and it's going to bring up this web page. And it's going to basically tell you, after some authentication, you get your welcome page, your viewer, your filters, and your settings. So if I look at the viewer, this gives me a list of all the calls that are going on. Now I have a filter built in, so it's only showing Ken's calls or my single agent queue calls. I go into the filter section here. We can define date and time. So I just want to show calls for today. I want to build an expression only filter. So I basically created some filters down here saying, Ken only, so that all calls to extension 309 in my single agent queue is for IRN 209. And then down here, we can also choose which columns show up in the report. There are some selected by default, but you can see down here, I've selected wrap code. So if I assigned a wrap code, what that will show up. And if I wanted the GUIDs for every call, I could check on the GUID link and that would bring up the GUIDs for each call. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into my viewer here, and you're going to take a look as when this pops up. I basically have, all these records. So for instance, if I just take a look at this one, which is an ACD call, so it says ACD call yes, the start time, the stop time, the duration, the number that was called, that's extension 301 that was calling extension 171, and it hit IRN, which is the route point on the ECC, and it transferred to agent number 309. Okay, and then there was a wrap code of no answer. So if I click on this link, what it's going to do is going to bring up another window that's going to give me some more transactional information. So first of all, you're going to see the CDR entry, which tells me the start, stop time, the duration of the call. It was an internal call, extension to extension, and it was extension 301 called extension 209. I would read it, by default, you would sort of read it extension 209 called 301, but actually this call was extension 301 called extension 209. You see at the very beginning, it tells you the call. So it's originated for extension 301, which is our DEC phone. It called the route point 209, which is Ken's single agent queue, and then was on hold. So we had some CCIR, the IVR playing back some music. And then eventually when it was answered, it was transferred to agent 309. If I look at another call, say for instance, this one here, what you're going to see is it's an internal call. So first of all, you see that it's an extension. So now it's extension 309, which is mine, called extension 122, and you see the two legs of the call. So extension 309 called 122. So we can change those filters. We can also show different calls and drill down further on each one. But that's what it does. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to delete these filters and I want to show everything. I'll go back into my filter section. Under the current expression, I'll just basically say nothing. Then I'll hit apply. And then when I go back to my viewer, and if I want, I can just click on the show SQL select, and this actually shows you the SQL statement that it's executing on the CDR database. You can see right here, it's the CDR, our CDR cradle to grave CDR database, which is part of the CCR database. And if I go and look on the viewer, you're now going to see a whole bunch of numbers just from today. Okay, and it's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So you have all that information. Under the settings tab here, this is basically where you show where the server is running, the database location, and the server, where you set that up. And again, any sort of passwords or sessions that are created on here. So that's it for the CCI Viewer. If you want to know what it is, this is what it is and what information it will provide.